Another update from Elliot Friedman about the Habs and a Jake Allen trade where he says Kent Hughes is doing something that I think a lot of Habs fans will like. We'll dive all the way into that. Plus, as you guys know, Christian Dvorak is out for the season, and there's a lot of guys that could maybe fill his spot. Plus, Arber Xhekaj once again showing his killer confidence in Laval and why he might be back with the team sooner rather than later. So stick around for all that on this episode of Habs Digest. But before we get into the video, not going to ask for subscribers today because, guys, we hit it. We hit 10,000. As a lot of you guys know, it's been a milestone since we started the channel. I mean, that's the goal, right? I mean, the first goal is 1,000. The second real goal is 10,000. Obviously, we celebrated everything along the way, but just wanted to take a few seconds before we start to give a sincere thank you to you guys. Yeah, I mean, we couldn't do this without you. But without further ado, Jesse, we got to stick with what we do best, and let's talk about the Montreal Canadiens. We got to talk a bit about Arber Xhekaj. Of course, he was sent down to Laval a while ago, but he's making the most of it right now. He said he's trying to get back as fast as he can, and when they told him he was going down, he's like, holy smokes, that's definitely what he said. This isn't good. Can't get hurt down here. He was worried, but then, as always, he kind of came around. He's like, once I brushed that off, let my game do the talking, I started feeling better. Jesse, Xhekaj's confidence is something we've talked about a lot. It's gotten him to the NHL. He said a lot of things in this article, but it's awesome to see him really embrace this and truly working on his game to get back to the big leagues.
And that's why we love him. As he said, let his game do the talking. You have to feel like Martin St. Louis happy to hear that as well. And he's really getting a chance to work on all the things that he really needs to do. And you're hearing a lot in the interviews saying that he wants to improve on his poise, just in the defensive zone, maybe just being able to hold on to the puck for a second longer before making those decisions. I know one thing for myself, though, that I still want to hear from Xhekaj. And, friends of the channel will know I love Arber Xhekaj. But one thing that I want to see him improve on while he's down the HL, and even just kind of vocalize and say it, is like, I need to improve on my discipline. I need to improve on his taking less penalties. Because this guy is an absolutely phenomenal player, save for some of those issues. But you have to feel like he is improving on that. All the same, at the same time, his offensive game is going through the roof right now, Josh. Like, I can't believe some of the stuff I've been hearing from JF Houle lately, just in regards to Arber Xhekaj. He actually went out and said that he feels like Arber Xhekaj has more offensive talent than Justin Barron. That this is a first-round guy. He has first-round potential, and that basically he feels like he has more upside offensively than Justin Barron. I mean, that's insane, right? But he's really backing him up now that he's kind of had a little bit more of a leash, kind of similar to the role of how like Matheson has with the Canadian. Xhekaj has been surprisingly playing that role with the Rocket. And then now on a 4-game point streak, 8 points in 10 games. Like, this guy, in the words of JF Houle, has a wrist shot that is elite. And we know for this big man that he can skate as well. So he's putting those tools to good use in Laval.
He really is. I mean, he looks like, a man amongst boys, basically, when he's in Laval. It's crazy to watch him skate out there. He just looks so much like, almost like way faster than you'd think, right? But that makes sense, I guess. But at the same time, his shot has been amazing. Even his playmaking, his passing has been good. Yeah, the discipline could still use some work, but his turnovers have done a bit better, so at least he's improving on that aspect of discipline. Maybe not so much the penalties yet, but all the same, he's been showing out in Laval. Super excited to see him back on the Habs. And hey, that kind of praise from JF Houle, saying he's better than Barron, who was and still is one of the Habs' top goal scorers this year. It's really, really insane. So, and Xhekaj's confident in himself. I just can't wait to see that manifest back in the NHL very soon. But now we got to move on to some more sad news, and we got to talk a bit about Christian Dvorak. And as you guys know, of course, he didn't play tonight. He's out for the season with a torn pectoral muscle, and that is tough. That's not an easy injury. I know some people who have torn their pec. It's a bit scary. But, with Christian Dvorak out for a while now, if you watch the videos the last couple of days, you'll know it looked like Josh Anderson was going to be out for a while, but no, he's obviously fully healthy now. So Christian Dvorak is the one guy who's going to be gone, and we got to figure out who the replacement is. And there's a lot of people in Laval that could maybe fit the bill. You can take a pause and have a look through Laval's leading scorers. We got guys like Brandon Gignac, who I mentioned in the last video as maybe a guy that could come up. He's at the top of the list. But you also have Joshua Waugh, one of our most hyped prospects. Sean Farrell, who already has that little bit of NHL experience. Xavier Simoneau. We also got guys, even Elias Anderson, former NHLer, 9 points in 13 games. But Jesse, I think you're in agreement with me that maybe the guy is Emil Heineman right now. I feel like he's already proven himself at the NHL level a little bit when he had his first stint, and I think maybe he's first in line to come back.
It's very true, and this is really bad for Christian Dvorak, just as I'm starting to like the player. Just kidding. We know his offensive tools haven't been where we'd like them, but I mean, I don't wish a torn pec on anybody. Definitely not a nice part of the body to injure. I definitely don't wish that on him. But I mean, amazing that we have so many centermen. And it seems like once again this season that we're going to use every single one of them. For whatever reason, Josh, it just seems like the hockey gods just want to have it their way for just the youth movement to just continue in Montreal. And we're obviously going to need to call somebody up. Oh boy, Johnny Kovacevic was on the third line today at left winger.
Man.
So you don't feel like that's particularly sustainable. But yeah, with Jesse Ylonen getting a chance to play, obviously he's going to be sticking up with the big club. But you have to feel like Emil Hanneman is kind of next up in line. It's maybe a little bit too hasty to be bringing up a Farrell, to be bringing up a Joshua Watt. Emil Hanneman is a little bit older, has played well while he's been here. So I feel like there's a high likelihood of Martin St. Louis wanting to see him in the lineup, you know, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what these players kind of maybe put into a little bit more of an offensive role, you know, because of this will do as a result.
Yeah, and there's a lot of guys who can make use of this chance, right? Again, like we always talk about Harvey Pinard last year. Actually, speaking of him, Harvey Pinard and Tanner Pearson are both skating again, and we don't know exactly when they'll be back, but it seems to be within the next couple weeks that they'll hopefully both be back. So whoever's getting called up will probably only have a job, or at least, well, I'm not going to say they're only going to have a job for a couple weeks, but they only have that couple weeks to really prove themselves. And if they do well, maybe they stick around, right? As we approach the deadline, someone like a Tanner Pearson is extremely expendable. It's part of the reason we took on his contract. So, you know, Emil Hanneman, I think, is for sure the top guy. And I agree that Joshua Waugh, you know, maybe a bit hasty. But at the same time, Jesse, isn't there a little part of you that kind of hopes we see Joshua Waugh maybe thrust into even a third line winger role or something like that, or now with Evans off the second line playing center again, you see Waugh up there? Is that too crazy for me, or do you think it's maybe a possibility?
To be honest, I think they're going to do really well by kind of taking their time. Like obviously Joshua Waugh, he started so well, but there was a little bit of a dip in his game. You want to bring him up when he's really kind of at the full confidence right now. So, you know, a little bit unfortunate, you know, at the same time. But, you know, we did prepare for this in a lot of ways. I am excited to see Monahan back at center on that second line. I feel like he's really effective in that role and everything else. So I feel like we're going to be patient right now, and it's really, it melts like each prospect, they're each going to kind of get their turn. Right now it's his chance to really prove he can do something, and that's going to be a shot till he proves otherwise.
For sure. All right, well, time to move on to our final topic. And are you guys sick of Jake Allen trade updates yet? Well, I'm not, and so you're going to have to suffer through this with us if you are sick of it. But this is another quote from Elliot Friedman. It's actually very related to the video that I made yesterday, talking about how the Leafs lowballed the Habs with a 6th round pick. It kind of adds on to that, so take a look. Friedman said one of the real challenges right now, kind of saw this, the most recent team to comb through the league was Toronto, and one of the things he heard from this, they're trying to be careful about it, say, look, if you want to get somebody right now, it's going to cost you. These teams, including Montreal, with extra goaltenders to trade, know if they are in a position of leverage. And one of the things Toronto tried to do is to offer a late round pick for a goalie, and they didn't get much out there. As we know, every team declined their offer for a 6th round pick, But he said it won't be cheap. And at least not as cheap in past years, which is great to hear. And he said, quote, Montreal has asked for a bigger price. They're one of the teams that knows they're in a position of strength. Right now, no one is willing to pay what Montreal's willing to do. And on the surface, this might seem like no one's willing to pay what Montreal wants. Why is this a good thing? Here's why it's a good thing. It's because Kent Hughes is sticking to his guns, and that's kind of his MO at this point. He does what he wants to do. He's not going to settle for your terms, except maybe in a Petrie deal where he's doing Petrie and his family a favor, right? Like, it really seems like Hughes like, I know what I want. I know my guy. I know what I'm doing. And if you want Jake Allen, come pay my price, because the trade deadline's coming, and we know you guys want him. Come pay what I'm asking for. I'm not going to take no 6th round pick. I kind of just, excuse the voice crack, I'm getting excited. But Jesse, what do you think of this? Like, I'm super happy with Kent Hughes' attitude. This is kind of exactly what I want from a GM, and whether it bites him in the butt to be holding off and asking for, you know, a king's ransom for Jake Allen, it's to be seen. But at least we've seen in the NHL and in other sports, a lot of the time when you hold off like this for the right deal, it can work out in your favor.
He absolutely did right by doing this. Wouldn't have it just been such like a terrible trade to trade Jake Allen to the Toronto Maple Leafs, like another conference rival for like a 6-7 round pick? Like, that is absolutely not a trade you want to make. Like, this is something, you know, and it seems like for how important goaltending is, it's almost criminally undervalued for how much Jake Allen could probably help the Toronto Maple Leafs. You know, offering a 6 or 7 doesn't quite seem equivalent to what he could really bring. Like, we're looking at the statistics right now for Jake Allen. He's 14th in saves above expected. I mean, if we're looking at this, you know, objectively, that's borderline starting NHL goalie numbers, which is surprising. But I mean, if you look at Jake Allen over the course of his career, hasn't he always been that type of player? He's always been like that, either that solid, 1B, definitely 1A from time to time as well, but like that really solid 1B that could very much be a 1A in a pinch, and even for longer if you really need it, as he's done with the Montreal Canadiens for the large majority of last season. He was this team's starting goalie. So I think that they're doing right. Like they know, like Kent Hughes knows that a lot of teams are looking. If it was maybe just the Leafs and the New Jersey, and those were the only teams kind of kicking tires, yeah, maybe he'd be okay to give, a late, kind of pick. But he knows that there's so much, and that's just going to kind of heat up as the trade line gets closer. So I feel like he's doing well by being patient on this.
Yeah, like he knows what teams have already offered him. He knows that there are teams interested in Jake Allen, and he knows that he can get more than whatever the Leafs offered him. And like you said, Jake Allen in the past, like he's at his best when he doesn't need to have that 1A workload, but can have long stretches as a guy who can maybe step in as a starter. He's good when he gets consistency, but maybe not with the full workload of a season. And a lot of teams, that's kind of what they want right now. It's almost exactly what they want right now. And one thing he's shown this year as well is maybe some more, like typically when he's been the kind of second goalie who gets spot starts now and then, like I don't believe he's had consecutive starts all year. I could be wrong, or if he did, it's just been once. And for him, usually that means a lot of inconsistency when he's not getting consistent starts. But no, not so far this season. Even in a 3-goalie situation, he's been fairly consistent across all his games. So that's a thing that a lot of other teams are probably looking at as well. So there's just a lot of positives going for Jake Allen. Do not blame Kent Hughes. But what do you guys think down below? Are you kind of on the team that, like, if a deal's there, maybe we should just move him to clear up this goalie situation, especially his cap hit, $4 million per year almost? Or are you also on the team of, like us, of Team Kent Hughes saying, nah, hold off, Kent. Yeah, we know you can get a better offer somewhere else. Let us know down below. But that'll do it for this episode of Habs Digest. If you enjoyed, leave a like, comment, subscribe. We're trying to reach, I don't know, what's next, Jesse? 25K, 100K? Doesn't matter, but we really, really appreciate every single one of you, 10,000 plus, that has hit that button. I'm Josh Goss, my co-host, Jesse Poirier. We'll catch you in the next one.